From one iconic race to another, we go from Silverstone to Hockenheim for the German Grand Prix, round 10 of the 2012 FF1M Championship. Just one commentator today, but I'm sure I can manage. Just a quick recap of the previous race, which was a very, very exciting race. Daniel Ricciardo had pole position and won that race. It wasn't as simple as that. He shunted into Perez at half distance and then nearly threw away the race win altogether after a botched attempt on Nico Rosberg. However, he recovered from that, overtook him and won by 10 seconds. Fantastic win, fully deserved. And that result moved him up to 5th in the Drivers' Championship ahead of Fernando Alonso, who was in contention for the race win, but once again an unforced error forced him off the track. That was at Cox Corner, and he was only half a second behind Ricciardo at the time. Don't be fooled by the images, we are actually racing on an old version of Hockenheim, the far superior one in my opinion. 4 extremely long straights punctuated by chicanes, all in the dense forest. Last season's race winner was Nico Hülkenberg driving for Mitchell, and he in fact won the season before as well, so he's a back-to-back winner at Hockenheim. Very little chance of Mitchell doing the same this time round. They line up 20th and 22nd. Their lawnmower engine's not exactly doing well. So the actual grid, as we are on the long straights, the works engines were bound to have a bit of an advantage, and Fernando Alonso benefited from that the most, taking his 3rd pole position of the season for Willows Racing. Nico Rosberg is 2nd on the grid and he is joined, Lucas Di Grassi backs him up for 3rd, and then Pastor Maldonado backs Alonso up for 4th. All Pedersen row 5, and the highest customer engine is in 7th position and in the form of Kimi Raikkonen in the FJR Honda. Lewis Hamilton, the championship leader, joins him on row 4. And then Ricciardo and Grosjean complete the top 10. Good performance from the Cosworth-engined AJs, Mark Webber 11th and Button 12th, and the 2x2 formation somewhat continues, although it's Sebastian Vettel, Robert Wickens, Sam Bird and Sergio Perez making up rows 7 and 8. Shake and bakes have definitely gone down in performance since the start of the season. On all GRM row 9, Sebastian Buemi and Jean-Eric Vergne, both drivers having thrown away a points finish after they both collided going into Club Corner. Can't remember what lap that was, but and that is not a type error on last. Nick Heidfeld is indeed back in FF1M, having last drove for Dodgem in 2009. So red light on and green light on, and it's a good start from Fernando Alonso, but also from Lucas Di Grassi. Let's see what happens going to turn 1. This is not where we normally see all the incidents, and Hulkenberg's last. Heidfeld had a good start in his return. Now then, this long straight, and it looks like Rosberg is challenging up for the lead going into the first chicane, or what I like to call the acid test. Who's going to brake late, and it's Rosberg who's broke late, and he's taken the lead from Fernando Alonso. Maldonado's cut the chicane and has rejoined in 3rd position. Wouldn't be surprised if he got a penalty for that, but I'm not sure if this software can hack that. Everyone has got through the first chicane, how bizarre. But it's Nico Rosberg who leads going into the Ostkurve chicane. And look at this battle for 3rd position. There's a couple of Pedersens in there. There's Maldonado, and he's been passed by Senna. Di Grassi's had a poor start. He's now down to 5th, 6th position, and everyone gets through the Ostkurve safely. Heidfeld is now at the back. So, his good start, nothing really. Through the Senna chicane, this is the fast version of the chicane, and now we're on board with Nico Rosberg, as he's in the slipstream of Fernando Alonso. Going into the stadium, is he going to try and move? He looks a bit too far back. Indeed, he is too far back, so he sits back in 2nd position. And it's Maldonado who has retaken 3rd from Senna as they go through the Sachs curve. Look at the lead that these two have built up. It's enormous. Let's see how much it is as they go across the line to complete the first lap. And across they go, and it's Rosberg, who is the fastest man on the track because he set a faster lap than Alonso after the first start. They're both 4 seconds ahead of Pastor Maldonado already. That is astronomical. Rosberg goes in for a second helping of Slipstream as they go into the first chicane, the Jim Clark chicane. And just a quick note on strategy, but in a minute, because Rosberg has retaken the lead, just about, yes, and he's got a bit of a gap as they go onto the second long straight. Senna has retaken Maldonado, that's third position, and Di Grassi has taken Kobayashi, and Hamilton has taken Raikkonen. It's all going off in the top 8, and Kamui Kobayashi is looking to retake that position away from Di Grassi, and what on earth is going to happen into the Ostkurve chicane? It is Di Grassi who has lost the position to Kobayashi, and Raikkonen has retaken Hamilton. So this is basically a slipstream war, and Hamilton looking to get back ahead of Raikkonen, but he's got to be careful because here comes Romain Grosjean. But Hamilton's retaken 7th position off of Raikkonen. In fact, they're using a tighter version of the Senna chicane, so it must be 94. Now then, what have we got here? We've got Maldonado versus Senna once again. Maldonado chopping across the front of Senna's car. And Hamilton has definitely got 7th position this time. Poor start for Ricciardo. He's dropped a couple of positions to the horizons. Here's the AJ Cosworth of Button going steaming off the track, into the wall, losing a wheel, and he is out of the race. An expensive mistake. Meanwhile, as the two leaders complete lap number 2, fastest lap for Rosberg. Where's Rosberg gone? He's gone off the track and he's crashed it at the first corner, and that is a front left wheel gone. And Fernando Alonso takes the lead. That is a big dent as somebody's hit the wheel. Who hit the wheel? And there's another wheel off. Let's have a look at the action. Here's Pastor Maldonado in 3rd position, and he's about to meet... he's gone off the track as well. So he's had a spin. He's rejoining the path of the Pedersen, and Di Grassi just about got away with that one. Hamilton got delayed, and this has let Romain Grosjean up into, wheels flying off everywhere. It was Kobayashi that Maldonado smashed into. There goes Kobayashi for a spin and retirement, because he's lost a wheel as well. It's all kicked off on lap number 3, on board with Di Grassi, and that was Hamilton smashing into the back of Di Grassi, giving him a speed boost up into 3rd position. Yep, front wing gone for Hamilton. So he's in trouble as well. So he's going to have to pit for a new front wing, and there's a wheel there. Here's Nick Heidfeld, the FF1M returnee, going off the track for his own little off, and just about held that one together. And Hamilton's delaying much of the field. What on earth is going to happen going into here? And biffing the back, there's Robert Wickens biffing the back of Grosjean. And there is Maldonado recovering without a front wing. And big crash at the back. There's a GRM that's piled into the back of Robert Wickens. Let's have a look at the replay from Pastor Maldonado's point of view. And that was Raikkonen getting airborne under braking for the first chicane. Then Wickens swipes into Grosjean, who gets away with that one. And then off goes Wickens. Maldonado delaying much of the field. And there at the back was the GRM piling into the back of Wickens. So Wickens is out. And I don't think the GRM... We'll have to wait and find out. So what on earth has this done to the entire field? Well, Hamilton is delaying a lot of drivers. There goes a shake and bake past him. Sam Bird has got away with it. He's up to 7th position. That's a good effort from him. There's Maldonado creating a bit of carnage as well. There goes Kubica past him. And Hülkenberg, Suttil and Heidfeld are next on his hit list. The Wounded Willows. Well, back to the leader. Alonso is the fastest man on the track at the moment, and he is leading from Bruno Senna. And we're looking at Sergio Perez, who crashed out of the final lap at Silverstone, and he has crashed out at Hockenheim. That is a limp front left wheel. I think his right rear has gone, so he's out. Well, this time it was a lot earlier in the race. Into the pits comes the wounded Hamilton. New front wing for him. And let's see the fuel gauge. He might have been running a one-stop. I was going to get onto strategy, so 1 or 2 stops expected at Hockenheim. Rosberg was on a 2-stop strategy before he crashed, so whilst he did manage to get ahead of the probably one-stopping Alonso, which was important for his race, he went and threw that away. And out of the pits after a 12-second stop goes Lewis Hamilton. Took on a couple of laps of fuel, so doesn't really make much of a difference. It's still a one-stop strategy, and having just pitted, Maldonado is going to have a spin at the stadium, and front wing and wheel gone. That is Maldonado out of the race. And here's Lewis Hamilton at turn 1. He's going to have an off as well, and luckily for him, not losing a wheel. And here's Jean-Eric Vergne, so it's Buemi that smashed into Wickens, and now Vergne is going to throw his race away by having a spin at the stadium. Poor error from him. On board with the other Tornado of Ricciardo, who had a bit of a tricky start to the race, but he's managed to get that together. Alonso is just steaming off into the distance. Lap 6, another new fastest lap. He has already got more than 10 seconds over Bruno Senna in second position. It's now 11.8 seconds, so Alonso absolutely flying, revelling in a Willows that actually works. It's Di Grassi up in third position, so he managed to get away unscathed from the carnage, just about, despite being biffed up the back by Hamilton. The two FJRs have come out of that melee quite well as well. Grosjean up in fourth and Raikkonen up in fifth. Although Raikkonen has got Daniel Ricciardo closing up on him. Raikkonen feeling the need to defend going into the Jim Clark chicane. That is going to give Ricciardo a bit of an opportunity of a slipstream, which in turn is going to give Romain Grosjean a bit more of a comfort zone. And up the inside of Raikkonen goes Ricciardo, going into the Ost curve, and that is 5th place for Ricciardo, utilising the slipstream nicely. Sam Bird in 7th position, that's a good effort from him. He's 15th on the grid, so staying out of the carnage, and Sebastian Vettel in 8th position for the shake and bake. It's amazing to think that Vettel's actually still third in the championship, because the car's not worked very well in the second quarter of the season. Just seeing, that was Bruno Senna going into the stadium, now there's Di Grassi, and here comes Grosjean, and here comes Ricciardo. Everyone's got through the stadium corner safely, now into this Sachs curve, which is a second gear hairpin. Let's see the strategies. Grosjean has got 20 laps of fuel left, so he's one stopping. And Ricciardo 18 laps, 19 laps of Raikkonen. So these three one stopping. Alonso's pulled out another 1.3 seconds over Senna on that lap. Senna's quite comfortable in second position at the moment. He's got 3.7 seconds over Di Grassi. And this is a little bit further on into lap number 8. Daniel Ricciardo chasing Grosjean. The Tornado a better car than the FJR. And it's interesting to note who's actually has got the best car this season, because clearly the Works engines work very well in qualifying, hence why they're called Works. But it looks like the Tornado is a better car than the Sean Corrie Motus. Now we're on board with Ricciardo. Pedersen look as if they have definitely made progress ever since the season's opener. They're probably the third best car in the qualifying trim. FJR been there or thereabouts. I mean, they had a race-winning car at the start of the season, but seem to have lost a little bit of pace somewhere. But it's interesting to note. Here's Sebastian Vettel having a look at Sam Bird's 7th position going into turn 1. Side by side going through turn 1, that was quite brave for both of them, but good driving. Ricciardo getting closer to Grosjean now for 4th position as they go through the Ost curve. Exiting the Ost curve, staying quite tight on the inside there. And now Ricciardo is in the slipstream. Is he going to have a look going into the Senna chicane? Now Grosjean just a bit too far ahead, but just keeping a bit more of a middle line, which will give Ricciardo an opportunity going into the stadium. Tremendous race for Ricciardo at Silverstone, and he wants more. He's got 4th position from Grosjean, not quite actually. Yes, he has now. Grosjean fighting it, But Ricciardo has got 4th position now as they go through the Sachs curve. Lap 10, 15.5 seconds is the lead between Alonso and Senna. So Alonso has got this one well under control, and Senna still holding 3.8 seconds over Di Grassi. That was quick into the first corner from Grosjean. Now it's his turn to get into the slipstream of the Tornado. Let's see if he can do anything about it. Not closing in quite as much there. In fact, Ricciardo looking quite comfortable. Now we have a look at the AJ of Mark Webber, and he's behind the Mitchell of Nico Hülkenberg. Now it's Nick Heidfeld actually in 11th position, so that's been a good effort from him. So despite his spin at turn 1, he's stayed out of the chaos, and now he's up to 11th. That's a very good effort. In his first race back since the 2009 season when he drove for Dodgem. Only scored 1 point that season, and that was at the San Marino Grand Prix. I think only 8 cars finished. Webber having a look at Heidfeld going into the Senna chicane, out-braking him, and Heidfeld missing his braking zone a little bit, and now he's going to come under pressure from Robert Kubica. Twice podium finisher this season is Kubica. He's going to try the outside line, but Heidfeld is going to shut the door a little bit. And for the moment, the battle for 12th position between the two. Now into the Sachs curve. It's actually first gear hairpin in this version. Usually it's second gear, but this time it's first gear. And as Webber pulls away in 11th position, and Alonso's now got 18.2 seconds over Senna. Trying the inside line into turn 1 was Robert Kubica, but this is a much more preferable option. Sticking into the slipstream on one of the 4 long straights in amongst the dense forest. And that was quite easy in the end. Robert Kubica taking 12th position off of Nick Heidfeld. But you never know, Hockenheim does tend to produce quite chaotic races in FF1M, so Heidfeld's still got a chance of points on his return. Replacing Jaime Alguersuari. And here is Nick Heidfeld going to the stadium. That's a bit wide and that is a bit off. He's managed to hold that one together though, so he'll live for another day. Now we have a look at Kubica on the back of Webber. The Andrew F1 looks a little bit quicker than the AJ in this race. Braking hard for the first chicane. And now exiting the first chicane. There's a list of retirements. Button, Rosberg, Kobayashi, Buemi, Wickens, Perez. So 6 drivers out at least. Still in the slipstream. Is Kubica going to have a look? Well, Webber's going to take the middle road, which will compromise his exit of the Ost curve, which will then give Robert Kubica an opportunity to get back into the slipstream and have a look. Here he goes, going down the 3rd long straight. And who's that coming up behind them? That's 11th position for Robert Kubica as they exit the chicane, but Webber's got a good slipstream going into the stadium, but Kubica holds on. That's 11th position for Robert Kubica. It's in fact Lewis Hamilton, who's right behind these two, recovering from his unscheduled stop front wing change. There's been a bit of a poor race for Hamilton, but could be worse. At least you didn't throw the race lead away like Nico Rosberg did. And that's past Mark Webber. That'll be for 12th position. Now, how much power has this Cosworth got? Well, not enough. Not enough traction, in fact, because Hamilton's got a long way over Mark Webber already. And we're still looking at Hamilton going into the stadium. Now he's closing up on Kubica. Not 100% sure how long the pit stops tend to take, but I suspect Alonso has got a big enough lead to rejoin ahead of Senna once he makes his pit stop, because he's now got 24.1 seconds over the Monaco Grand Prix race winner. Up the inside of Kubica goes Hamilton into turn 1, but Kubica holding on. And now up the inside on the approach to the first chicane, but he'll have the move done halfway down the straight, because it's such a long straight that slipstream is very, very powerful. And Hamilton has taken that one from the Andrew F1. And just as they exit the first chicane, Alonso starts his 17th lap, so Hamilton's a long way off a race win, but points are still possible. He could still make some use out of this. And into the pits for his first pit stop comes Nico Hülkenberg, twice race winner at Hockenheim. So he's one that's 2 stopping, having pitted on lap 17. Ran it to about 3 laps to go, taking on 18 laps, so he should be back into the pits on lap 32. I do suspect a one-stop strategy will be the quicker one to go for, though, because of the long straights at Hockenheim. There's not really much in the way of lots of corners to really slow the cars down that are fat with fuel. So I imagine the one-stop is the preferred one. Hülkenberg rejoined in front of the GRM actually, of Jean-Eric Vergne, but Vergne got ahead of him going into the first chicane, but Hülkenberg's about to repay the favour on the GRM driver. It's showing us Vergne due in the pits this lap. Senna into the pits for his first pit stop, so not only is Alonso much faster, he's also 2 stopping. And they're still battling away, Vergne and Hülkenberg. Vergne has retaken the position going into the third chicane. I'm suspecting that Hülkenberg will repay the favour going into the stadium corner. He's taken the wrong line at the moment, but he'll regain the slipstream. And now back on the inside line, but not quite. Vergne holds a position as he's due in the pits. It looks as though Senna has rejoined in 7th position between Vettel and Bird. So that's 7th position for him. It'll be interesting to see what strategy everyone else goes for. Into the pits and holding up Hülkenberg is Jean-Eric Vergne. And here's Senna. He's rejoined from his pit stop. And this is on lap 21. So he's caught up to Vettel. And he's passed Vettel for 6th position. And we're looking at Daniel Ricciardo, who's closing the gap on Lucas Di Grassi. He's only a second behind him now, so Ricciardo on the move. Tornado looks as if they have a good car, capable of challenging for 2nd place. "35 seconds is the gap between Alonso and Di Grassi. Both of them are 1 stopping. Di Grassi not due in the pits this lap. I think Ricciardo is due on the pits this lap, so looking good for Ricciardo if new tyres are still the main factor compared to a lighter fuel load. So it'll look good to jump Di Grassi for what should be 2nd position, because I can't see Senna's 2-stop strategy working too well. Maybe Senna might get the 2 FJRs come the end, but I still think the 1-stop's the better one to go for. 0.8 of a second now between Di Grassi and Ricciardo. So it's going to be a good in-lap this for Ricciardo, using the slipstream to maximum effect. Fernando Alonso in the pits from the lead of the race. Flashed up with Nico Rosberg for some reason. Glitch in the timing screen. 10.4 seconds is the stop for Alonso. Should still get him out in the lead as he exits the pits. Yep, still in the lead. And into the pits comes Daniel Ricciardo, bang on half distance. So let's see how much fuel he takes on board. Out of the race goes Sebastian Vettel. His Honda engine has exploded on the long straights of Hockenheim. So bad race for shake and bake all round. Both drivers out of the race. 6.1 seconds. That is a mighty stop for Ricciardo. And he's taken fuel to go to the end of the race. Rejoined in 6th position though. He'll be behind Senna. I think that was Senna. Yes, indeed it is Senna. Sam Bird into the pits from 7th position. So in fact, that's the gap between Ricciardo and Bird. Nick Heidfeld makes his first pit stop since 2009 from 14th position. And here is Di Grassi making his way out of the Sachs curve into the Sud curve. That's the first apex, and understeering into the pit lane for his only stop of the race. This needs to be a good one if he's to rejoin ahead of Ricciardo. I think more drivers are coming to the pits as well. Saw an FJR come in. And right at the end of the pit box, that FJR did indeed come into the pits, and it's Kimi Räikkönen. Slow on the right front, and that is a much slower stop, 7.9 seconds. Surely Ricciardo will be ahead. There he goes. Ricciardo takes 4th position on the road, but it should be 2nd once everyone makes their second pit stops. And meanwhile, Lewis Hamilton's recovered to 7th position, but he's got a scheduled pit stop to make. There is Räikkönen in 6th position, having rejoined from his stop. And out of the pits comes Romain Grosjean. And careful, boys, Räikkönen has rejoined ahead of Grosjean, so Kimi's gained a position on the Franco-Swiss. Hamilton coming into the pits, I just about saw on the caption there. Rejoining behind Bird and Hülkenberg. There he goes. The battling Bird and Hülkenberg, in fact. No doubt that Hamilton would be able to catch up to these two and pass them, so Hamilton's got a 7th place on the cards, and Bird defending the line there, going into the Jim Clark chicane. Quite well defended, actually. This will actually be for the final points position, providing that the top 6 stay where they are. So this is an important battle. And remember Hülkenberg doing this on Wickens at the Canadian Grand Prix, overtaking him for what was 9th position, and which then became 8th when Sam Bird's engine blew up. So Horizon will be looking to get their own back on Mitchell. In fact, Hülkenberg has another pit stop to make because he's got 10 laps of fuel, which with 20 laps to go is not enough. So Sam Bird can relax a little bit. He can let Hülkenberg go if he wishes, but he'll want to stay ahead. More for pride. Another driver that has to make a second pit stop is Bruno Senna, currently running in 2nd position, but his second pit stop will drop him behind Romain Grosjean. So he's got a bit of work to do if he's to get back into the podium position. And in the slipstream going into turn 1, Nico Hülkenberg outbraking the Horizon driver and leaving him just about enough space on the outside, but that is 7th position for the Mitchell lawnmower. But Bird is in the slipstream and he's going to have a go back at him going into the first chicane. And that is 7th position for the Horizon Honda. Not bad. But Hülkenberg's now in the slipstream. Where will he be able to overtake the Horizon driver? He's in the slipstream now. Pulls out of the slipstream quite early in the straight, so he's got a good run. Should be able to outbrake him going into the Ost curve. There he goes, 7th position back for Nico Hülkenberg, and crucially for him, he gets a good run through the corner, which is exactly what Bird didn't get. So Hülkenberg should be able to hold on to 7th position. Now his aim is to pull away from him and just go as fast as he can before a second pit stop. Here is Romain Grosjean. He's back due in the pits. He has got a problem. Let's find out what the problem is once he comes into the pits. But that's not going to help. Is he far enough ahead of Hülkenberg and Bird to rejoin ahead of the battling duo? Let's find out as he makes his second pit stop. Unscheduled, of course. Loose wheel and electrical. That doesn't sound good. But he'll get that fixed with a pit stop. And now here's Hamilton going on Bird. And that's now for 6th, 7th and 8th position. There goes Grosjean exiting the pits. So that's cost Grosjean quite a lot of positions and track time, so that's not good. Here's Hamilton, now on the challenge of Hülkenberg. Slightly irrelevant battle, but he'll do his best to get ahead of him because how far is he behind Räikkönen? Half a minute, so he's got no chance of 6th position. 5th position, sorry. And now he's got ahead of Hülkenberg, but Hülkenberg's going to get back into the slipstream. Is he going to pull out? Has the lawnmower engine got enough power? 225 miles an hour. He's going to give it a go. Not quite. That is 6th position for Hamilton. Hülkenberg's still close though. He could still get back at him. Let's see. 225 miles an hour is actually quite impressive on this. Now he's going to pull out and retake Lewis Hamilton going into the Ostkirch chicane. Can he outbrake him? Yes, indeed he can. Good effort, Hülkenberg. And Hamilton... Now it's his turn to get back into the slipstream, but he had a bit of a poor exit out of the Ostkirch. Good on you, Nico. And just in the background there's Sam Bird and Roman Grosjean. The recovering Roman Grosjean. After his dashboard gave him all sorts of errors, electrical and a loose wheel. Wouldn't want to be driving that in the deep forest of Hockenheim. So is Hamilton close enough in the slipstream this time to outbrake Hülkenberg into the stadium? No, he's not. Going to have to sit behind him for another few corners. It's been a well-behaved race, actually, considering the carnage of the early laps. Everyone else has been fairly well-behaved. Not the normal chaos of Hockenheim that we're used to. And we're at 2/3 distance now. Fernando Alonso holds a half-minute lead almost over Bruno Senna as Hamilton has a look again at Hülkenberg going into the first corner, and Grosjean has taken Bird at the first corner, so that's back in the points for the FJR driver. Now Hamilton's back in the slipstream, and that's a good run for him. And don't even need to outbrake the Mitchell lawnmower going into the first chicane. So that's back into 6th position for Hamilton. Although Hülkenberg's still close, he could still get back ahead of him. Although Hamilton did get a good run out of that first chicane, so I think that is 6th position for him now. Now it's Roman Grosjean's turn to get back at Hülkenberg, who still has his second pit stop to make, remember? That's into the first chicane, actually. And now, in the slipstream, is Roman Grosjean. Up the inside, on the run into the Ostkirch chicane. And don't even need to outbrake the Mitchell driver. Just straight up there. But Hülkenberg's still fairly close. He might still be able to do something about it. And into the pits for his second pit stop comes Bruno Senna. This is going to rejoin him, I'd imagine, in 5th position behind Kimi Räikkönen. We'll have to see how this pit stop goes. Front wheels on. It's 5.9 seconds. Good pit stop. Fastest of the race that I've seen, although other pit stops might have been quicker, but that's a quick stop for the Pedersen driver. Now, where does he rejoin? Into some clear track. 5th position, as I predicted, without trying to sound too obnoxious. So that moves Daniel Ricciardo up into 2nd position, Lucas Di Grassi up into 3rd, Räikkönen 4th, Senna 5th, and Hamilton 6th. And this is Hülkenberg's second pit stop now. This will move Sam Bird back up the order. 8 seconds, nothing like as quick as Bruno Senna. But Hülkenberg will be quick come the end of the race. And he rejoins... Well, it's brakes, actually, that's interesting. 11th position, that's behind Robert Kubica. 10th place Kubica. Who are having a look here? Nick Heidfeld, going into the first corner of the stadium. He's gone well off the track, and bash! Rear wing has gone. I don't think any rear wheels have gone, so he might still be able to make it back into the pits. Rejoins right into the path of the FJR driver. That's Kimi Räikkönen. And has Räikkönen got a problem? He's due into the pits as well. He's lost a position to Bruno Senna somewhere, and now he's got his own little mechanical drama. Another electrical problem. I wonder if that's a recurring issue for the FJR Honda. It'll be quick, though, come the end of the race, so he might be able to still do something about this. That's dropped to 6th position. His pit crew are not even out. Come on, boys. Very leisurely. There we go, take the time. That was almost like a 10-second stop-go penalty. Don't think the game's that clever to program that in there. That's cost Kimi dearly. So where's he rejoin? 8th position, he's still in the points somehow. There comes Kubica. So Kubica, well, it's Suttil actually. 9th position Suttil. He's going to have a look at Raikkonen going into the first chicane. 6th gear just as he hit 200 miles an hour. Who's got the more powerful engine? In fact, the Honda versus the Renault. And holding on around the outside was Kimi Raikkonen, but Suttil has gained the position for the moment. Still side by side. Kimi's not giving up that 8th position, even though he has got much, much fresher tyres. And it's a battle of the brakes, and Raikkonen has held on to that one, and that's 8th position for him. Can he utilise fresh tyres to close up the gap to Sam Bird? Yes, he has done. This is going to be 7th position for Kimi Raikkonen going into turn 1, and that's a long way in front, so he'll hold on to that 7th. And, Bruno Senna's crashed out! Out of 4th position has gone Senna! Where is that? Is that turn 1 or is that the final corner? Hard to see from that angle. We'll have to see what's happened. And here we go. It's coming into the penultimate corner. We haven't seen anybody go off here yet. But here he goes. He turns in and, well, that was strange, but that's a costly mistake. Both Pedersens out of the race. That'll move Hamilton up into 4th position. Bet he wasn't expecting that after his calamitous opener to the race. And who we're looking at here, Nico Hülkenberg in 9th position. Suttil in 8th now, benefiting from Senna's demise. But this is the battle for the point. Final point, and Hülkenberg has got that with his new tyres. Good move from him. Overtaking the reliable Suttil. Meanwhile, it's almost been unnoticed, but Alonso has driven an absolutely commanding race, worthy of a reigning champion. As soon as he took the lead from the crashing Rosberg, that was it. Stay out in front, pull away from Senna, and just dominate the race completely. Out of the penultimate corner goes Fernando Alonso. Out of the final corner comes Fernando Alonso, and taking his 2nd win of the season, Fernando Alonso for Willows Mercedes. That's an FJR in the background that's been lapped, but will get points. That was Kimi Raikkonen, in fact. Finishing in 6th position behind Romain Grosjean. Completing the podium, Daniel Ricciardo and Lucas Di Grassi, and Hamilton recovered to 4th position. Good effort from him. Completing the points, Sam Bird and Nico Hülkenberg. Poor race for Shake and Bake, poor race for Nico Rosberg, and poor race for Pedersen. All of those aforementioned drivers retiring from the race. And Sebastian Vettel was the only one who had a mechanical related retirement, his engine having exploded somewhere on circuit. And just a quick mention, Nick Heidfeld, 13th position in his return back to FF1M, despite losing his rear wing. So that result for Hamilton moves him 11 points clear of Nico Rosberg. That was a get out of jail card for Lewis there, because Rosberg could have quite easily won the race. Alonso moves up to 3rd in the championship in the improving Willows, it has to be said. Ricciardo also moves up the order, that's 4th position for him, jumping Romain Grosjean. And Sebastian Vettel has now dropped down from 3rd to 6th. That is not good news for him. In the Constructors' Championship, 100 points, Tornado now have a 25-point lead over Sean Connery Motors. Rosberg's error really costing him dearly. And FJR hang up to 3rd position in the championship, although Willows, they're looking menacing. I'd almost half expect them to get FJR at the end. Meanwhile, Shake and Bake and Andrew F1, none of them scored points, neither did Pedersen for that matter, so they're still locked together. That's going to be interesting. GRM and Horizon now tied for 10th position. So that was the German Grand Prix. Next up we will be at a completely different circuit to Hockenheim, the tight and twisty, almost go-kart track of the Hockenheimring. So we'll see you then.